look who it is. Some of you might remember the back of this TV if you've watched the video. The previous video for this TV was done about a year ago. This is the TV that this is a Vizio TV. I'll put the information up here. This TV I looked at a year ago, and it was suggested from Shop Jimmy to replace the EEPROM chip on this main board, and I replaced that, and the TV is still dead. Well, come to my surprise, after sitting in the storage for a year, I decided to start looking at this again, and I set it on this table here and I looked at it and plugged it in and about fell over because the TV actually turned on and it came up. I was totally dumbfounded. I had no clue why it didn't come up after I replaced the EEPROM, but letting it sit for a year, it finally decided to want to start working again. So I looked it over, did some things and whatever, and I actually put the big heat sink back on the board and on the other side of it and everything, and it's been working. Every time I turn it on, it works. I did a few things before I actually put this board back on, or put this heat sink back on, and that was I checked the temperature of these processing chips with this little laser temperature tester. And these things, they're not exact, but they're close. And you really need to know how to use these, because a lot of times it says to, I haven't read the book, but I assume it says you point this at whatever you want to test the temperature, but that's not true in some cases. In this case, where these two dots are right here, the shiny dots, and these two down here, that's where the two big processing chips are. They got a heat sink right here on this board, or on this chip too. And I tested this processor and this processor before I had this on there. And I'll show you, I'll put that up here and show you what the temperature I got with that. But now I put this heat sink on here, and I wanted to show you what temperature I was getting. And we'll see if we can see this in this camera, because I was doing it on my phone with the other one. I'm going to point this. Let's see, let me get over here. If I can hold it steady. This is the top chip. I'm pointing it right at the chip right there. And it's reading 122. Now I'm going to go above the chip a little bit because heat rises. And you can see how the temperature kind of goes up a little bit. Not too much on that one. And now I'm going to go to the bottom chip. You can kind of see the laser bouncing around right in here, a little red dot. That's right on the chip, about 110, and this is Fahrenheit that I have this set on. Now I'm going to go above this chip, and you can see how much it goes up. 125 degrees, almost 127 degrees, just going straight up from that chip because heat rises. So that thing's getting pretty hot. And now let's go over to this little shiny one that I was telling you about, the little 2-inch long one. Right in the middle where the chip is, it's about 100, something 101, something like that. I'm going to go above the chip, above the heat sink, and you can see it's 107. I keep moving up the board, and it goes up a little bit, but I just wanted to compare with the heat sink and without the heat sink, and that shows you why heat sinks are so important and why you should have the proper amount of heatsink paste and stuff like that when you put this on there, because if you don't have that, you're not getting a good connection between the chip on the board and the heatsink, and you're not going to dissipate the heat very well. So that's real important. So it works. I'm happy. I don't know why it started working. The picture is superb. I can try to swing the camera around here and give you a little show here of my camera sitting on a tripod, so I'll flip this around so I can see. I can't show you this too long because I don't want YouTube to zap the video. But you can see there's the picture. So it's a really good picture. Oops. Has 120 hertz refresh rate, and TVs with 120 hertz refresh rate have awesome pictures. And of course there's other TVs that have 240. Oh, I almost forgot to mention, I wanted to tell you that when I checked that the chips with this without the heatsink on there, I had a high output fan sitting right here blowing on it as I was checking the temperature, and it still got up to those high temps. So I forgot to add that in, so I'm throwing it in here. I told you in the last video that if I ever come back and work on this, or I figure out anything with it, I would get back to you and show you, and this is it. I'm sorry I didn't come up with no big huge explanation why it started working. The only thing we can probably say is maybe that change in that EEPROM did work, but for the reason why it didn't start up back then, like I said, I have no idea. But it works now, so I'm just going to put the back on it and I'm going to start using it and see how long it lasts. Hopefully it lasts pretty long. I mean, it's a nice TV. Alright, well, I think that's it for this update on this TV. We'll see you in the next one.